Wall Street veteran Bernard Madoff has been arrested and charged with running a $50 billion Ponzi scheme.
Congress wants to know what caused the Enron meltdown.
And while the collective rage currently is focused on WorldCom,
Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski was convicted of looting hundreds of millions of dollars.
This is one of the biggest fraud cases ever.
Their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Find out more on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
Shohei Ohtani is a baseball player still in his prime for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And although his career is only at its midpoint, he is already one of the best to ever play the game. He has spent years developing his craft, coming up through the grueling system of youth baseball in Japan, and became one of the best players in Japan's professional league before crossing the Pacific to play baseball for the best league in the world here in the United States. Being from Japan, he relied heavily on an interpreter to communicate when he moved leagues, and luckily for Ohtani, he had made great friends with Ippei Mizuhara, an English-Japanese interpreter who worked with his previous team, the Nippon Ham Fighters. They were fast friends, so Ohtani brought him along to interpret for him in the States. Although they were always seen together, Ohtani was unaware that this friend was going to bleed him for millions of dollars over the course of the next few years to fuel an addiction. And when the truth finally was exposed, it would bring disgrace on Ippei that was only part of a larger investigation. Find out how this friendship was formed and broken in this episode of the season 16 premiere of White Collars, Red Hands.
What were they? The Ham Fighters?
There's the Nippon Ham Fighters.
Nippon.
Huh?
Nippon.
Sure.
No, it's Nippon.
Yeah, do you also say croissant when you say it? No. English speakers say Nippon all the time because the whole league is called the Nippon Professional Baseball League, or the NPB.
How often are people saying Nippon?
Huh?
How often are people saying that?
Nippon. Very commonly, at least in baseball.
I was going to say, I've never heard people in regular conversation say that.
How many times? With only English speakers are you hearing that word?
Never.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. I've never heard anybody use it in professional, like regular talk.
Yeah, I've only heard Nippon.
In baseball?
Yeah. When people talk about it.
It's a Mexico situation.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just saying, it's a Mexico
There's a very
situation.
fine line between you being correct in the language and you just sounding extremely pretentious.
That's
so
fair.
I don't know which one this on. I've heard Nippon. I'm saying Nippon.
It's only because I lived in Japan. And I heard them say it. I did not go to a baseball game in Japan, though.
They're big events.
They love baseball.
It's the most popular sport.
Yep.
I think it's the only. This might be a complete lie. I think it might be the only other country where where baseball is the largest sport. Technically, I don't even think it is in America.
Isn't it football?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That also sounds like a weird statistic to make. So I don't know how you measure that, but whatever. You know what I do know? My name. It's Kishan.
And I'm Nina.
And welcome back to season 16 of White Collars, Red Hands.
16 seasons, BB.
Yeah, I think we've just had so many now that I'm like, yeah, 16. It's not impressive anymore. Like now we can only super celebrate when we get to like milestones.
20 will be a milestone.
Yeah, 20, 25.
That'll be a milestone.
Yeah. And then it's probably not till 100.
50.
If we make 100 seasons of this show, then
Damn.
yeah. But some people there's going to have to be more interesting accounting fraud that goes on.
Yeah, you guys got to start committing more fraud, please.
Okay, that's not.
We need more things to talk about. Please start committing more white collar crimes.
Yeah, we're not. I guess we are outright recommending that. We're not recommending that. Please.
We're like Nightcrawler. Did you ever see that movie?
Yes.
Yeah, we're like Nightcrawler. We like make white collar crimes so that we can talk about them. I'm not smart enough to commit a white collar crime.
Yeah, as you've said multiple times.
I know.
It could be your catchphrase. So yeah, we're talking about Ippei Mizuhara and Shohei Ohtani, tied to that as well. If you've heard or been listening to this podcast for a while, you might know that my other big love in life is baseball. I'm a big baseball fan. So unfortunately for some of you, that bleeds over into the content that we provide on this show, where this is our third baseball-centric episode. We've done, of course, Lenny Dykstra, which he was an awful person. And we did Pete Rose before as well, which is kind of tied to today's episode with all of his gambling that he did to get him on the blacklist. But today, like I said, we're talking about Ippei Mizuhara. So let's get right into it. Ippei Mizuhara was originally born in Tomakomai, Japan in 1984. His father was a chef who decided to move the family to America when Ippei was 7 years old to work in restaurants here in the States. They settled into the city of Diamond Bar in eastern Los Angeles, where Ippei became fluent in English and attended, shocker, Diamond Bar High School, where he was supposedly active in sports, playing soccer and basketball. That being said, this is kind of a first glimpse into the inaccuracies from Ippei's life that we'll encounter a couple of times. Although multiple sources claim that he was active in sports, later they looked at his yearbook and he really wasn't listed on any of the sports teams.
Interesting.
Although they talked with the soccer coach and they said, oh yeah, he was the third string goalie.
Aww.
So he didn't really play a lot.
He was on the team though.
But they said that he had a lot of heart.
Aww.
Which is what you have to say about the third string goalie.
Yeah.
Because you can't just be rude and say, that kid sucked.
He had a real love for the game.
Yeah. Oh man, he wanted to play really bad.
Really wanted to play.
And you could tell. He didn't, but he wanted to. Yeah. No, it was giving that for sure. Mm-hmm. After high school, Ippei claimed to have graduated from the University of California, Riverside in 2007. However, once again, the university later refuted this claim and publicly announced that they had no records of him ever attending the school. So likely he did not go to college at all. In fact, most of the decade between him graduating from high school in 2003 and his appearance as an interpreter for the Nippon Professional Baseball League, the NPB, in 2013 was largely unknown and still is kind of to this day. People are still kind of unsure about what he did for these 10 years. People didn't even know where his home was, although he claimed to spend the offseason back in Tokyo. The only registered address that was available to dig up was his parents' house, still located in Diamond Bar. So if he was staying somewhere in the States,
we don't know where.
However, some light was shed on this mystery decade in an investigative piece released by the LA Times, where they went around, they did interviews with people close to Ippei, and they did actually discover some details about his youth. Firstly, he developed a love of baseball by watching the great Japanese MLB imports in the pitcher Hideo Nomo, who had played for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and one of the best hitters of all time, Ichiro Suzuki, who's the only person to ever win Rookie of the Year and MVP in their first season.
Oh, wow.
So, pretty good. He was 30 at the time. He played 8 seasons or something in Japan before coming here, so the rookie status is kind of interesting, but nevertheless. During Ippei's decade of mystery, it is said that Ippei spent time bouncing around odd jobs, like most of us do in our early, mid to late 20s. And he tried to take after his dad first, working in a sushi restaurant for some time. And then he worked at a company that imported and distributed sake from Japan. At one point, someone had said that he did enroll in a class to become a dealer at a casino, but never finished the class. But that might be a hint to Ippei being fond of gambling houses.
He had to fold them.
He didn't
put a fold on his dreams.
Well, he knew when to hold them. He did know when to fold them.
He knew when to walk away and when to run.
A fun fact: he did not know when to walk away.
Damn,
and that's going to come into play later. Court records only show Ippei showing up twice in this decade, at least from what they could dig up. Once for a speeding ticket in 2004 when he was 19. So I mean,
we all did that.
Not me.
Okay.
Not spotless. My record's squeaky clean. All right. And he did also show up once for a filing related to a wrongful termination suit at the sake importing company. I was kind of, I didn't really know if he was involved in the suit, or I think they just said he filed an attestation or something. So I don't know if he was just.
He was the one who had a wrongful termination, or he terminated
that's
someone
what I'm
wrong?
saying. I don't know. Because I don't really know how it works. So.
Got you.
And the language was ambiguous. So I don't know. Either he got wrongfully terminated and he filed in the suit, or maybe it was a larger dispute, multiple people got fired, and then he was just one of the people that put into
Got you.
to the suit. I don't know. In 2012, Ippei found the career that would sustain him for over the next decade, baseball interpretation. Not interpreting baseball, but interpreting for baseball players. During spring training, which is basically baseball preseason, for those of you that don't know, Ippei worked as an interpreter for the Yankees, specifically for a relief pitcher by the name of Okajima. However, Okajima did not make the team after spring training when he failed a physical, so there was no need to retain Ippei. Okajima, however, did return to Japan to play back in the NPB, and it's likely believed that he was instrumental in Ippei landing his next interpreting job, which was with the Nippon Ham Fighters on his home island of Hokkaido. So he was interpreting on the team for a few American players at the time in 2013, but that's when he met a rookie fresh out of high school who had changed his life, first for the better and then for the worse. So let's talk a little bit about Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani was born in Oshu in 1994 to blue-collar parents who were also either former athletes or athletic. His mother was a national badminton player, a national-level badminton player in high school. And his father was an amateur baseball player. So I don't know what that means in Japan, but there's some respectable amateur leagues in America. Yeah. That if you're a minor league player, like to get to the majors, that's where you start, is in A ball or amateur ball. So who knows? Ohtani was also just a natural baseball player and started playing when he was in second grade. And by high school, he was one of the best players in the country, pitching for the Hanamaki Higashi High School team, where he also competed in swimming. He was tall. He was like 6'2" as like a freshman.
What?
Yeah. But I guess he was like not very strong. Like he could like barely bench the bar, which is 45 pounds.
Oh God. Get that boy some milk. He's
ripped now. He's very large. I mean, he's a professional athlete, right? So it's like all you do is train and you get paid for it. And then play a game. But yeah, he looked like a string bean.
It doesn't surprise me.
It's very funny. But he had long ass arms, which is good for a pitcher and also for swimming. Mm-hmm. His swimming coach, I guess, said that if he had focused on that, he was already fast enough that he could probably compete in the Olympics.
Wow.
So
I feel like there might be more money in baseball though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're one of the highest paid athletes in the world. I think there's only some as we'll get into, the highest paid athlete in the world is a baseball player. I think second highest is soccer, though.
Oh, interesting. I thought it would have been football.
Oh, no, you don't make that much money in the NFL. Comparatively to other sports, you don't make that much money because they have salary caps on the team. So people don't make a lot of money. Yeah. That's not a thing in baseball.
No, I did know that baseball didn't have a salary cap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So people can make some serious money.
Yeah.
But he focused on baseball. Baseball was his thing. And in Japanese high schools, baseball is a very serious deal. Like football in Texas, it means that a lot of people that live there really care about high school baseball specifically.
And I will also say that he more than likely went to that high school like specifically for sports, because the way that high school is in Japan, you have to test. It's very, very competitive. And you have to like test into your high schools. So more than and especially like fine art schools, or in his case, he was doing sports. He more than likely got recruited to specifically play baseball and swim. Obviously I don't know for sure, but that I'm going to assume that this was why he even played for that high school and why it is such a big deal, because you have the best of the best players.
I actually do know, and they're not one of the best teams in Japan.
But they probably accepted him so that he could play, is what I'm saying.
Yes. So he actually could have chosen, because he was so good, to go to any high school to play. There's 4,000 baseball teams in Japan. That'll come back into play. He chose this one.
High school baseball teams?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, professional teams.
I was like, what the fuck?
There's not that many professional teams. He went to this high school specifically because a previous really good Japanese baseball player by the name of Yusei Kikuchi went there and had just had one of the best showings in the tournament we're about to talk about. So he went there because he admired this other player so much.
That makes sense.
But they weren't like one of the best.
Yeah.
And of course, given Japan's tendency for obedience and discipline that we've talked about in some other corporate structure focused episodes on this show, that kind of bleeds into the entire society. And,
yes, very much so.
And they take it kind of to a whole new level with high school baseball specifically. Ohtani's high school coach had the players live on campus the entire year, only returning home for 6 days out of the year.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and every single day there was multiple hours devoted to baseball.
None of that shocks me. That doesn't shock me whatsoever. A lot of the fine arts schools are like that as well. It's kind of crazy.
Is it J-pop or K-pop where they do the entire like music bands, like recruiting schools where you get in at 12 and all you do is live that for like 6 years?
I think it is J-pop.
It might be both.
But I do know there's this, I wish I remembered what it was called, but there's this one theater called the Takarazuka, and it's all women. It's only women who perform. They gender bend in their shows. They're really incredible shows. I actually went to one when I was in Japan, but it's similar to J-pop and K-pop where they start in high school or even a little bit younger, and that is all they do their regular classes as well, but like hours and hours of a day are devoted to like singing and dancing and acting, and it's really, really rigorous. So hearing that they're doing baseball for hours and hours a day is not shocking to me whatsoever.
Yeah, and there are also these like horror stories. By horror stories, I mean they're really common of coaches hitting players, being verbally abusive, demeaning to them in ways that would kind of be seen as really unacceptable here in the States. Yeah, at one point they said that in order to teach like Shohei humility, they like made him clean toilets all the time. But he also like didn't act up. He was very like a chill player.
Well, the kids already clean the school.
Oh, well. I mean,
that's like part of their, they
made him clean the toilets on purpose. Specifically.
That should be a rotation.
Because he was the best player, though. They were like, he's good. Make him do this. It will teach him humility.
Okay.
That's just like the thought process that's going on here.
In Japan, they don't have janitors. They're like, even in the workplace, like the employees clean, and in schools, the employees and students clean. Yeah. They might have some sort of janitor for like bigger things like maintenance issues, like the water heater broke or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, that says none of this is shocking to me.
And of course, all of this is to prepare them to play in the high school baseball championship tournament known as the Summer Koshin, which is a big deal in Japan. Over 6 million people tune in to watch it every year, and it amasses crowds of up to 50,000 fans in person every day. They built a
like a stadium for
They built a stadium for this.
That's crazy.
That they play 2 tournaments in every year.
50,000 person stadium? Mm-hmm. We don't even have NFL stadiums that big.
They're about that.
Well, I'm just saying that like even like there are ones smaller than that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For professional.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Bears Stadium is only like 20 or 30.
Soldier Field sits more than 30.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And this whole thing is, it's a single elimination tournament that takes place over 2 weeks, where 49 of the 4,000 Japanese high school teams qualify and enter, but only one leaves. You have to make it through the entire bracket.
This is like Hunger Games.
Kind of. And it's seen as where dreams are made for a very select few and broken for countless others. There's one winner and 3,999 losers. You know?
Damn.
So it's pretty crazy. People take dirt. It's like customary to take dirt after you lose, like from the fields.
If you lose?
Yeah. People play through injuries all the time. We mentioned Yusei Kikuchi. He like broke a rib and then still pitched through like 2 more games, like obviously in pain, but they're like, it's part of it. Like if you're hurt, they basically tell you if you're in the Summer Koshin, they're like, you're playing.
Damn.
It's wild.
That's crazy. Now, I know that like I don't know if you'll know the answer to this, but like I know that, you know, American players will go over to Japan to play, right? And then like, just like, you know, people will go to Germany to play basketball. Do they get high school students from other countries to come play, or no? Or is it mostly just
I don't think so. They're pretty exclusive to foreigners in Japan. So
they are.
So I don't think so.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, not at the high school level, but the professional level, obviously.
Yeah.
They take people. And Shohei's team did make the tournament once in his time when he was playing there. They were unceremoniously booted in the first round, though. That being said, he still left a big impression while he was there. And also, by the way, I want to mention, it's very common and expected, actually, for Japanese baseball teams to cry when they lose. So every team that loses, they have all of this footage of just the losing team just like bawling. Because it seemed like you should care about it so much that when you lose, you should cry.
That's so interesting because they don't really cry a lot.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Even in professional leagues, like in big games, like if you lose, you're like expected to cry. So they take it seriously.
So they don't cry as much culturally as we do.
Unless you lose a baseball game.
They said
they're
so interesting.
In America, they say there's no crying in baseball. You're supposed to cry in baseball in Japan, okay? And Shohei Ohtani, like many young baseball players, was both a pitcher and a hitter, even into high school. He was tall and lanky as a thrower, and by his senior year, though, he set the Japanese high school record for the fastest pitch thrown, which he did in this tournament. He threw a 100-mile-per-hour fastball, which is 160 kilometers per hour.
That's kind of crazy.
At the tournament.
That's crazy.
Which, was the Japanese high school record. But he also was a fantastic hitter. He was the best hitter on the team and one of the best hitters in all of Japan in high school. And when he got drafted by the Ham Fighters in 2013 and joined the professionals, the only reason he went to the team is because they were the one that were willing to let him both hit and pitch at the biggest level, which this is almost completely unheard of. Like in the professional leagues for someone to both pitch and hit, it's happened a couple times, but to do it very well is almost impossible. And to reach the success that he has, he's been the only one to be able to do that besides Babe Ruth, which is literally one of the best players of all time, which of course he played pre-integration. So it's really hard to put a label on that, but he's one of the best known and he was very good in the league at the time. And the Babe only pitched while he was with the Red Sox and became just a hitter when he joined the Yankees. He didn't pitch again. So, and for those of you who aren't familiar with baseball, I will provide two comparisons for how crazy being a really good two-way player is. And especially in Shohei Ohtani's case. For those who like sports but not baseball, it's like if in American football, if Tom Brady had also been one of the best middle linebackers in the league. If he could play both offense and defense, and he won like awards for doing both. You know, he was the best quarterback and one of the best linebackers. And for those of you who don't know sports at all, it's like if Taylor Swift also made chart-topping metal music at the exact same time as being a pop icon, right? These things are slightly related, but require a completely different skill set and are very hard to do at the highest level for a sustained period of time. Shohei Ohtani has done that. And he was one of the best players in the NPB, where he won an MVP award, among other awards during his 5 years in the league. And it was also here that he met Ippei Mizuhara, and the two palled around while they were on the Ham Fighters. So when Shohei Ohtani wanted to enter the MLB and got signed by the Los Angeles Angels in 2018, Shohei Ohtani brought Ippei along as his interpreter, where Ippei grew to be more than just an employee that helped Shohei talk to coaches, players, and the media. By the way, he went to, in case you care, he went to the Angels because that was also the only MLB team that was going to let him both pitch and hit. That's all he cared about. So
I want to do both.
Basically, and everyone was like, that's stupid. No one's ever done that.
He's like, I can do it.
And then he could. So although Nina thought that Ohtani needed an interpreter in the MLB because he was deaf.
I didn't know.
When you pitched this episode, and I was like, he's just Japanese. He really needed one because most people in the MLB and in media outlets that interview the players speak English, and Shohei does not know English.
He's also deaf.
He is very not deaf.
He's not deaf.
I thought he was deaf. Very well. For his job interpreting for Ohtani for the Angels, they paid him a pretty good salary in the six-figure range. And beyond that, though, Ippei became a manager, like a de facto manager, and a friend to Ohtani. He was literally with him 24/7 during the season, running errands for him, managing his schedule. He would eat breakfast every day with him in the hotel before they went to the field if they were traveling. Sometimes he would even be warming up with him before a game, like playing catch or even catching his bullpen sessions, which is crazy because he throws 100 miles per hour. And as another just kind of normal guy, I'm not going to sit back and let you throw 100 mile per hour fastballs directly at me.
No, I'm good.
Just knock. Even I don't care how much padding you put on me. I'm not doing it. No. Thank you. And when Ohtani participated in the home run derby in 2021, he even elected for Ippei to be his catcher. And this is an honor, as players usually choose people that are important to them to be their pitchers and catchers for the event. And for all of this personal work he would do for Ohtani, Ippei was also paid directly from him on top of the salary that he was being paid from the team.
So Ohtani paid him.
Yeah, he made 6 figures from the team just to be the interpreter. And then Ohtani paid him on top of that to do all these other things for him.
Oh, okay.
So he's making good money.
Yeah.
And like I said, they became friends. You spend every day with somebody, you're at least going to get Stockholm Syndrome and start liking them, right?
Yeah.
And after Mizuhara got married in 2018, Ohtani even paid for their honeymoon as a gift.
That's a nice gift.
But that seemed fitting, as Mizuhara mentioned once that he spent more time with Ohtani than his own wife.
I would believe that.
As even in the offseason, Ippei would be tracking workouts and talking to the Angels trainers and media outlets who'd contact him. He was still the buffer between them all the time. And Ohtani was still a great player here in the States as well. Over his 6-year career, he has won 2 league MVP awards, Rookie of the Year, and multiple other awards, and has continued to both pitch and hit at a high level. So when he became a free agent again after 6 years, everyone knew that he was ready for a big payout. He was going to make some money, and he got it. Shohei Ohtani became the highest paid sports player of all time this last offseason when he was awarded a 10-year, $700 million contract from the Los Angeles Dodgers, which I'm pretty sure the previous contract was like $450 million was the record.
That is crazy.
So he made $700 million. So
he's making $70 million a year.
Yeah. Not that people care, but the way the contract was set up is weird too, though. It's all deferred. So he makes $2 million a year right now. And then for the 10 years after his contract, he makes $68 million a year. Which I'm not going to bore you with why they did it like that.
So much money.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. He's set for life. He's good. So yes.
I need to find this man.
Oh, well, he just got married earlier this year.
I will.
February.
I will break up that marriage.
I think he's only into Japanese women.
Japanese people love white people.
She's a professional sports player.
Okay, I'm not, but that's okay. Sometimes opposites attract.
Sure, bud. You do whatever you need to do.
I will.
So he went to the Los Angeles Dodgers this year. And he just had to move up the road for Anaheim as well because he was playing with the Angels. So didn't have to go far. And Ohtani brought Ippei with him to his new team. And the two were actually even seen talking jovially in the dugout during the first series of this season, which was played in Seoul, South Korea, which made it even more of a shock when the very next day, the Dodgers announced that Ippei Mizuhara had been fired from the team and that Shohei Ohtani had been the victim of a massive theft at the hands of his interpreter. So Ippei Mizuhara, this whole time, or at least since 2021, had an addiction to gambling. And over the course of just those few years, from 2021 to 2024, Ippei Mizuhara made 19,000 sports bets, which is an average of 25 bets a day, with an illegal bookie by the name of Matthew Boyer. Matthew Boyer, I'll say that. Some good news, though, okay? From those bets, he made $142 million from his winning wagers with the bookie. All right. The only downside is that he also lost $183 million on his losing wagers, which means that during 3 years, he amassed a debt of $41 million to Matthew Boyer. Now, even with the high estimate for Ippei's salary at around $500,000 a year, which is pretty good money, that means he would need to work and only give money to his bookie, and then he would pay off the debt in 21 years.
Oh my God.
So it's a pretty sizable debt. And by that time, I would bet that Ippei would have both kneecaps broken or be at the bottom of an ocean if he took 21 years to pay it off. So he's not doing so well. But Ippei had been able to devise a plan to pay back that only involved stealing from his employer and arguably one of his best friends. So because Ippei was interpreting for Ohtani in basically every facet of his life, it makes sense that he would go with him to a bank in Phoenix with the star player when he was setting up an account to deposit his MLB paychecks into in 2018. Ippei interpreted everything through the interaction and made sure to remember Ohtani's login information to the banking website. In 2021, when Ippei had started placing bets and amassing debt, he logged into his account, Ohtani's account that is, and changed the security information to route to his own email and cell phone. So when you get the alert to like confirm that a login or transaction was valid, it would go to Ippei's phone.
Not
instead of
Ohtani's phone.
Exactly. Then when the bookie came around to ask him for money, Ippei would wire money out of Ohtani's account rather than his own to pay off the debt and send it to an associate of the bookmaker.
Wow.
These wire transfers were usually made in the amounts of multiple thousands of dollars up to $500,000. They're usually between $40,000 to $500,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yes. And of course, with that much money, the bank would usually block it to begin with, just due to the sheer size of them. And then Ippei would either call them or the bank would call Ippei, because now his number was listed on the account, and ask him about the validity. So Ippei, on at least 24 occasions, pretended to be Shohei, using his personal information that he had access to as well. Like, I don't think, he obviously doesn't have a social security number, but whatever the...
He might.
Really? He's probably just here
Yeah.
on like a work visa, right? Do you get a social security number?
You
when you
do,
that?
because
Oh, okay.
my ex had one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think he had access to his like social security number then, and he was able to give them this information over the phone, and pretended to be him, and then authorize the transaction. Through these wire transfers, Ippei funneled $16.9 million out of Ohtani's account to pay off his debts.
That is insane.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It's quite a lot of money. It doesn't stop there, though. In September of 2023, Ippei learned that he needed $60,000 of dental work.
What the fuck happened?
I was about to say, yeah.
You need a whole new mouth.
Yeah, what are you doing? You obviously have not been to a dentist for like your whole life. If all at once you need $60,000.
Okay, so they're actually really bad about dental stuff in Japan.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Well,
it is not. So
he grew up in America.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense then. But maybe his parents just didn't take him to the dentist because, like, culturally they didn't go to the dentist.
I guess that's
because so they have universal health care in Japan, but it does not cover dentistry.
So people don't get like,
Yeah.
do they have dental? They probably have private
They
dental
do have
insurance.
they probably have something. They have dentists, obviously, but like even it's only becoming more popular now to even get braces. Like it used to actually be seen as a sign of beauty to have super crooked teeth.
Well, you got that like snaggletooth, right? That's like a
Yeah.
cute thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know some people did that on like purpose.
Yeah.
So wild. But yeah, so he needed $60,000 worth of dental work, and Ohtani, being the nice guy that he was, said that he would pay for it. He would pay for Ippei's dental work, and he gave him a check drafted from a different account, a business account that Ippei did not have access to. But when he got to the dentist to get the work done, he instead provided them with Shohei Ohtani's debit card number from the account that he did have access to, and then deposited that check into his personal account.
So he stole.
Yeah, so he took his charity
$60,000.
and then stole an additional $60,000. And honestly, that one's kind of the worst for me, because like this guy was being nice to you. You know, he's giving you $60,000, and instead you just like took the opportunity to steal money from your
$60,000 more dollars
from your friends. You know, just take the money and use it. You've already stole millions of dollars from him. Did you really need the extra $60,000?
It's fucked up.
It's messed up. Ippei also used Ohtani's account to purchase baseball cards speculatively to sell later to make a profit. including, which I thought was weird, baseball cards of Shohei himself. So he used his account to buy Shohei Ohtani baseball cards. And in total, he spent $325,000 on baseball cards.
He's just bad with money.
Yes. And as far as I can tell, he never actually sold any of the cards. So I started wondering, it was like, did you just want these?
Yeah, I think
because he's a baseball fan. So it's like at some point you're like, did you just kind of want these cards?
Yeah, I think he did.
You're going to sell them later? Sure. And all of this was eventually discovered because the feds were actually doing a deep investigation into the illegal bookmaker, Boyer. And when they discovered these ties to Shohei Ohtani's bank account, they started investigating him to see if he was betting on sports, which was leaked to ESPN, which reached out to Ohtani's team for remarks on his potential involvement in a sports betting ring.
Poor Shohei. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, it's funny. He didn't know what they were talking about because when the media reached out to his team, they go to his interpreter. And Ippei never said anything to Shohei about the media inquiry about it, and instead responded to them saying, oh, yeah, Shohei says that he did pay some sports bets, but they were my sports bets. So he said that Shohei Ohtani paid the bets for him because he felt bad as like an act of charity.
Oh
he also
God.
said they only sent $1 million, which is about a 17th of what he did.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like sports betting against specifically a Major League Baseball player is obviously a big allegation, as you would know from our Pete Rose episode. All right. Betting in baseball specifically is a very dark history that people in the league, they're very like, I'm not betting. Like it's a big thing. So he'd be pretty upset if he heard about that. So he didn't. So after this, they had a team meeting the next day because the team became aware of it. Where they were talking to Ippei with Shohei there. But Shohei could kind of tell something was off, but Ippei was still not telling him things. And he didn't have another interpreter there that was unbiased. So he didn't really know what was going on, but he knew something was off. And Ippei had told him that after the team meeting, he wanted to have a one-on-one meeting with Shohei in private. And that's where he finally admitted to Shohei that he had been using his account to pay off gambling debts. And Ohtani was obviously shocked about this, and he immediately contacted his team, and the Dodgers fired Ippei immediately. And that week, a full investigation was announced by the IRS and the DOJ into Ippei and his tradings and what he did. And after the investigation, Ippei eventually pled guilty to one count of bank fraud, as well as one count of filing a false tax return. Because they alleged that for 2022, he filed a return claiming an income of about $137,000. But in truth, he had additional income of just over $4 million from all the illegal betting that he did, which he didn't report, which you have to do even if it's illegal. So he pled guilty to both of those. And in addition to him misclaiming his earnings, by the way, he also filed single, although he was married, to get a larger deduction. So just kind of stupid stuff.
Yeah, that's like stuff that you're obviously going to get caught with.
Yeah. Also, you made $136,000. Like to them, why would you? It was a difference of $5,000 in the deduction.
Stupid.
Just don't. Don't. It's stupid. So in addition to signing the plea in May of this year, Ippei also agreed to enter treatment for gambling addiction. Good. And he is currently awaiting sentencing. Although he could face a maximum penalty of up to 30 years in prison for the two charges. And will likely have to pay restitution for the money that he stole, both from Ohtani and from Uncle Sam. He's going to have to pay back those taxes. Shohei Ohtani, on the other hand, got a new interpreter and has been cleared of any association with sports betting and continues to light up the league this year. He's having a good year. Good. As he probably will do for years to come.
What is crazy about this is that he didn't miss the 17 million.
Yeah, so that is weird, but it kind of makes sense if you really understand who Shohei Ohtani is as a person. Like even his wife, like he is now a multimillionaire on like multiple levels, and his wife has like a $50 purse.
Yeah.
That she goes around with, and he doesn't really buy too much. Like, he's not
Yeah.
flashy. When he played in,
But it's just like, are you not checking your bank account statements? Like,
I really think he wasn't. I think he doesn't really care that he lives baseball to like a weird level.
yeah.
Like to where it's kind of all he cares about. When he was with the Nippon Ham Fighters, so for the first couple years, they have this like team house that you can live in where it's basically like a dorm. And he lived in that. You will usually live there for like 1 or 2 years before you move out. He lived there for like the first 4 out of the 5 years he was there before they were like,
Go.
yeah, you have to get a house. And like he finally did for his like last year. Because he was just like, well, I just focus on baseball here. Because you live like on the training facility.
Yeah.
So you just go train, you go eat, you go train, you come home, you sleep, you get up, you go train. And that's what he did for 4 years. So I honestly just think he's like,
Yeah.
he doesn't care. He also had multiple accounts, and it was already kind of like he has a whole financial team. And Ippei lied to everyone else on his financial team, saying that Shohei didn't want them to look at this account. Like, he wanted this account to be private for himself.
Oh, okay.
So his team wasn't aware of it because of that, because Ippei was lying to them.
Yeah.
Because they never talked to Shohei directly. And Shohei didn't do it because he had a team to look at his financial accounts.
Yeah. And then, like, truthfully, then also he's not getting the alerts.
Yeah.
So I guess if you go, well, I have money in that account, I'm not worried about it.
And imagine if you're Shohei Ohtani, how many emails you get.
Oh, God, I can't even
imagine. I'm not opening something from Chase Bank.
No, like,
You know?
every single time, like, come on, I don't have nearly that. I have a very small fraction of the amount of money.
Yeah.
He has a very small fraction of the amount of money that he has. And I don't open every email from my bank.
No.
No, because half the time it's dumb. It's like,
Yeah.
apply to this credit card. I'm like, no.
No, I don't need another one. Thank you.
Or they send me an email and they're like, you just spent $7 at Jewel. And I'm like, I don't care.
Correct. I did do that. So,
Which I'm glad that they do it, because there's been a couple times, like, my friend and I have a joint Amazon account where she's accidentally used my card a couple times, and then I'm like, hey, you used my card, because I know, because I get an alert, but still.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's the same thing. He just kind of didn't pay that close of attention, and probably didn't think that this guy who was literally
I'm sure
one of his
he
best
didn't
friends
think that he was stealing the money.
was going to take it. And
No, yeah.
And that's why it's kind of sad to see two people who had grown to be such good friends torn apart by greed and honestly by addiction. These two men that spent more time together than with their wives had formed a great bond, but it goes to show you that even the people you think you trust the most are sometimes up to no good. I believe that Ippei Mizuhara got caught in the whirlwind of high-stakes betting too fast and got in hot water quickly, and like a trapped animal turned to any means necessary to try and get out. It's sad. Gambling addiction is real, and it ruins lives and reputations. So if you struggle with gambling addiction, it isn't too late to get help. The help you need by calling the National Problem Gambling Hotline at 1-800-GAMBLER.
Mm-hmm.
And likely you don't have a Major League Baseball player, multimillionaire best friend that you can steal money from. So it's gonna be worse for you.
Yeah.
Even so call that number.
I know a couple people who are addicted to gambling. It's scary.
Me too. And it is. So please get the help. And with that,
that's our first episode.
Thank you guys for listening.
Season 16, baby.
Hell yeah, the big 1-6.
Yep.
All right. Once again, seasons are years. We'll be old enough to drive.
Yeah.
All right. They're not yours though. As we're coming up, I think. Well, this
will be our 4th year.
It's not. We're not going to get to our 4th year podiversary in this season.
No.
But the next season is going to contain our 4th year podiversary.
Well.
Damn.
Oh man, I think
high school. The length of high school we will have been doing this podcast.
I think that I have to buy the dinner this time.
That's what you're thinking about? And good. I just graduated. I'm unemployed.
I know. I owe you a graduation lunch too.
See? You got to feed me. Feed me.
2 dinners.
Feed me. I'm hungry.
This bitch.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry, baby.
All right. You guys probably don't want to hear about that. So let's just get to the outro. So thank you guys so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, believe it or not, you can support us. And believe it or not, it's free. at least some ways. A free way you can do that really helps us out is by leaving a review. You can write a review on Apple Podcasts, which most of you guys statistically are listening on Apple Podcasts. So go write a review there with your words. If numbers are more your thing, you just want to leave stars, you can do that on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leaving us a good rating really helps us out, gets us to more audiences, and helps the show grow. So please do that. If you're not on those, I like you little indie podcast listener. You can go ahead and follow, subscribe, whatever your podcatcher that you use has. Do that, and it'll help us out. You can also go over to our YouTube, watch the videos that are also available on Spotify, and you can go to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/whitecollarsredhands. All right. You can also, if more short form videos your thing, like most people nowadays, you can follow our TikTok at White Collars Red Hands. You can go to our Facebook, follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/whitecollarsredhands, Instagram at whitecollars_redhands, or Twitter at whitecollarspod, or X. I don't know if we're ever going to switch over. It's who cares? It's
Twitter forever.
You, Elon Musk, you suck.
He just had his 12th baby.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That man had another child?
Yeah.
Ugh.
He's got 12. He's like Nick Cannon.
Blech. No, Nick Cannon has like 47.
I think they both have 12.
Nick Cannon has like 47. That's like an accurate number. I'm not lying.
I'll look that up.
You do that. So, yeah, you can do that. The best way you can help us out, tell a friend. All right, people are always looking for podcast recommendations. So go ahead. Let them know. I could have swore he had more than 12.
It's 12.
Damn.
He will have more than 12.
That he knows of.
That he knows
of. Yeah, so you can tell a friend. That's great. You want to support us? What's that? Not for free? That's okay. You can go ahead and check out our merch. If you go to our website, whitecollarsredhands.com, hit the button that says, check out our merch. It'll take you straight to our merch page, and you can buy a shirt, a t-shirt. I think they have hats now.
Really?
Yeah, I want a hat.
I want a bucket hat.
Okay, well, I don't know if they're bucket hats, but, we can check.
Are they,
I think they're baseball caps.
Do they have winter hats?
Beanies? Yeah, they're beanies on them.
I want a beanie.
Yeah, go get a beanie. See? Also, if you don't want us or support us not for free, I never promote this, but there's actually ad-free listening episodes on Spotify. Like if you hate ads, we don't put a lot on there out of principle, but we do some because, I spend money to make this podcast and like to at least break even. So if you want it without ads, though, you can subscribe just $1 a month and you can get ad-free episodes. So that's 4 ad-free episodes every month for $1. So feel free and do that. That's through Spotify if you want. I think that's it.
That's it.
Hell yeah. Nailed an outro for the first time in 3 weeks. So yeah, we'll see you next week on another episode of White Collars, Red Hands.